Hello everybody, wherever you might be around the world, this is NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. I'm Liam Santamaria, running the point in the absence of our man Cam Luke today. The Breakers get another win. The defending champs continue to roll, and the Kings, they're in the market for a new import. To my right is a man who plays hard, works hard, plays hard, and always brings the heat. Corey, Homicide, 2 Chainz.
What are we doing? What are we doing today?
I can't get that right. 2 Chainz, what's happening?
Listen, everything is happening. So much to talk about. Let's just, first of all, we got to holler at Peter Hooley.
We got our man off the bench. He's like Jack White, off the bench, into the starting lineup. Welcome, Pete.
Yeah, good to be here. I haven't done one of these for a while and plenty to talk about. The games are back and it's good to be here.
The games are back. Melbourne United are back. Let's start with Melbourne United. They were well and truly the story of round 7. 1 game to go, but Melbourne United just were spectacular over the course of the weekend. A double road weekend, 1 day in between as a travel day. Went down to Tassie, took care of business, and then, of course, sensational in the blockbuster matchup in Wollongong. 6 wins in a row now, Corey, for the defending champs.
Hottest team in the league, well-deserved record, 6 straight. Ever since Chris Goulding's comeback, this team has been rolling. Joe Luala-Chul, in this game, it was a big matchup. Yanni Wetsu versus him, and he gave them the business. 22 and 13 with 2 blocks. He gave them everything, and more important, great defense from the big fella in that matchup. There was no matchup. He did his thing. But overall, this team, and in this game, this team got it done down there in Hobart. But this man right here, oh my God, what a round for Joe Luala-Chul. But let's talk about Matthew Dellavedova. Peter Hooley, go ahead. You take it from there, bro.
I mean, this is what everyone keeps saying is he can't shoot the ball. He was 3 of 22 from 3 and he just came in and lit it up, just got into one of those modes. He's changed the scout for the rest of the season because you just have the thought now, if he's starting to knock a couple down, he's not going to be shying away even if he is 3 of 22 again. He knows he's got this in himself now. He backs himself. And the reason United are so good have been Dean Vickman prides on the defence. It's defence first. But they're a rebounding machine. Oh my God. And you talk about numbers. In this game against the Hawks, Jack White, 11 boards, Luala-Chul, 12, Caleb Agata, 15 rebounds. And if Delhi gets another 2 assists, they have 4 players with a double-double. That is insane.
You talk about Joe Luala-Chul, back-to-back double-doubles. We'll talk about Matthew Dellavedova a little bit more in a sec because he was absolutely spectacular. But back-to-back double-doubles for Joe Luala-Chul. 2 huge matchups. You know, you talked about Yanni Wetzel. He was coming into this round in incredible form, but also Duop Reith,
who I got Grand Finals MVP.
who has been spectacular so far this season.
Well, I got to get there.
Joe Luala-Chul, I mean, at what level is he right now and where can he get to the rest of this season?
Well, it was very impressive. As you mentioned, it was 2 all-star bigs he was playing against, centers in this league. For him to average in this round, 3.5 blocks. He had 5 blocks in that game versus Illawarra. Unreal on the defensive end. 12.5 rebounds and 16.5 points in this round. And they were huge matchups. This is a guy that's seriously competitive. He don't really do too much talking. He's about that action. And the thing that I truly respect for Melbourne United is, as stacked as they are, they know when he gets the ball, it is going up. He has the green light and the ultimate respect. And he's playing at MVP level in this round, I would say. Well, it was very impressive because these are key matchups. And that's the thing that I respect. You got to show up when you got that key matchup. And it's on you because if you don't show up, chances are you could change the whole game and your team could lose. That's how impactful the players are that he was going against in Duop Reith and Yanni Wetzel.
Is it recency bias, Pete, or is he the best centre in the league right now?
I think there's a bit of recency bias in that because I still do not breathe how good was he to start, and we haven't seen him locked in since everybody coming back from the break. But the thing I love about Joe Luala-Chul, you said he doesn't speak much. If you talk to him, that man is not afraid of anyone. This man is basically saying, I'll be in the NBA next year. This is what I can do. This is what I've done so far. And I love that all his workouts he does is as a guard. But then you come up and play against true centres in the league like Yanni Wetzel and Duop Reith and beat them at their own game when he doesn't do individual workouts on the post. He wants to get his handle right. He wants to be able to step out and do all this. He's an exciting talent with a really big future. And the fact that you've got Delhi on your team, you've got Chris Goulding on your team, who we all thought and we still think is their main guy, but they just keep throwing the ball to Joe. Say, go get a bucket, and he keeps doing it.
And despite all of that, he was a subplot from this round because Matthew Dellavedova was, without a shadow of a doubt, the story of the round.
Yo, unbelievable. I'm in a pool, right? I'm somewhere kicking it. I'm like, Delly ain't getting off today. Tyler Harvey is going to get him. Illawarra for the win. Boy, was I wrong.
I had your quote written down. I can cross that one out.
And you know what? Shout out to Delly, you know, because we all know, I mean, even he knows, the strength of his offensive abilities isn't the perimeter three. So for him to come in and light it up in the manner that he did versus his Bowman's coach, you know, sometimes when you're playing against your coach, you know, you might want to take some things personal. You know what I mean? So you got to know in the back of his head, he's like, let me show Coach Gorgeous something. Because I don't really like how the championship went when we was in the bronze game. So let me let you know how I get down. And I know that's what that was about.
I mean, it's just a great story for all the kids out there. When people are doubting what you can do, especially shooting the ball, everybody has been doubting Delly's ability to shoot the ball, to be able to come in, knock it down, not just once, twice, 7 of 11. He was 7 of 8 at one stage. They kind of iced him out in the second quarter a little bit. Other guys were trying to get going. Like, you've got to keep feeding the beast right now, because anytime he got it up, there was a couple of really contested ones. It's just a great story. You've got to put in the work and trust yourself that when the opportunity comes, once you start feeling good, you knock a couple down, the floodgates open. Well,
that's the thing I loved most about it. Listening to him talk at halftime, watching his body language on the floor, of course. He wasn't going bananas as if it was kind of like it was completely unexpected. Listening to him in the halftime interview, when it was mentioned to him that the broadcast crew were kind of falling off their seats at what he was doing, stony-faced, as if to say, why are you so surprised? Yeah. This is what, I mean, you haven't seen me knock down 7 triples before, but you have seen me make winning plays in a variety of different ways. And then he gets in the post-game presser and basically approaches it the same way. You know, if people are trying to get him to say, I don't know what happened. It was a fluke. We're never going to see that again. And he said, I've been putting in the work. Dean Vickerman said the same. During the COVID break, we would come in every day and you would see Delly early getting his shots up. D-Mac has backed up those statements as well. And as a result, look at how smooth the stroke looked. Not on this play, he went to the floater, but generally speaking, catch, shoot, let it fly. As you said, Pete, hard work is undefeated, and that's what we're seeing paying off for Matthew Dellavedova.
It's awesome. And that's Delly, isn't it? When you talk about hard work paying off, that's Delly. That's why he had that big impact on the big stage in the NBA. That's why LeBron endorses what he does, what he brings. And if you want to the way he makes winning plays, as you mentioned, look no further than the game against the Phoenix. After that dunk from Mitch Creek, yes, they lost, but he was outstanding in that game. Didn't knock 7 threes down, but made all those other plays to try and get them over the line. It's just what Delly does. That's why it's such a big signing to get him in the league. Melbourne United love him. And when he's playing, even not knocking down threes, but at this level with winning plays, Jack White being healthy, Chris Golding, they're so tough when they're defending and playing like that on the other end.
You got to understand one thing. The man has played in the NBA Finals, have made great plays, winning plays to an NBA championships. That's arguably one of the greatest series in the history of the NBA. Down 3-1 to come back and win versus one of the greatest teams ever put together, Golden State Warriors. So this man's going to be cool, calm, and collective at all times on this court. And that's another positive that this savvy vet brings. He'll always be able to calm and steady the ship because none of this stuff is going to be able to faze him.
He doesn't get rattled at all, does he?
He wouldn't.
About anything.
Pete says he's changed the scout. Brian Goorjian said post-game, look, and we heard him in the timeout as well, that's the scout, you're playing to the scout, we understand it, we're guarding Chris Golding at the three-point line, we're guarding Dave Barlow, we're going under for Matthew Dellavedova. Has he changed the scout, or do you continue to defend him that way?
You have to continue to defend him that way. He has to continue to beat you that way. I wasn't the best three-point shooter, so you play off me. I hit 6, 7 threes in one game. Scout does not change. You're going to have to consistently continue to prove that you can consistently knock down that perimeter three. And if he can do that, game over.
The reason I say...
Game over.
Well, 100%, but the reason I think it has changed is because he's not a guy that's going to shoot 0 of 7, 0 of 8 in a game. He knows that if it's not his night, if he's feeling off a little bit from 3, he's not going to keep launching it because you've got Chris Golding, you've got all these other guys. If he knocks down 1 of 3 all of a sudden, then he's going to let the next one fly. And if you keep giving it to him, more often than not, he'll make you pay over the course of games. So
you think it's an earlier adjustment?
It is.
Now.
Rather than saying, hang on, if if Delly hits 5 in this game, then we'll adjust. He's 3 of 22. He's not known as a shooter. I think it would be now. If he hits 2, we've got to change.
Let's talk about the New Zealand Breakers.
Oh, man, let's talk about the Breakers.
Big win over Sydney. Geez, they played Melbourne tough down in Tassie. They're starting to build some momentum now. Down 10, 5 minutes and change remaining in the Harbour City, and they reeled off an 18-1 run to finish this game and run over the purple and gold. That's 2 wins, Corey, now from their past 3 games.
Very, very impressed with the Breakers and how they perform at both ends, especially the defensive end. Probably about 2 weeks ago, we was over here talking about how horrific their defense is in every facet of that word, collectively and individually. So for them to turn it around and now looking like a completely different organization, let alone team, they look balanced. They're taking high percentage shots. They're hitting shots. I think the biggest adjustment that this team has made outside of heart and ability and grit is bringing those imports off the bench. We'll get into that later.
I think their most important player is the man behind you on the screen, Delaney. I think he is their heart and soul in terms of what he brings on both ends. We've seen him, he's been in the most improved player conversation 2 years in a row, which when you think about it is just a wild thing to be able to improve that much 2 seasons in a row. He's their engine room. And in talks about who's going to be set the tone defensively, they're not a defensively minded team. Yanni Wetzel called out the team a couple of weeks ago saying they need to be that. Delaney's been guarding point guards. That's what he's been doing. They're kind of throwing him out there in the top Abercrombie role until they get him back. When he's stepping up and making the plays like we saw in the Kings game, they're a different unit. And I think with the imports, obviously, their roles, everybody else going, just their vibe is so much better than we've seen. We spoke about it a few weeks ago. Got to get the monkey off the back, get the first win.
Yeah.
Now things are starting to look like they're enjoying it a lot more out there. They're enjoying the challenge, which every game is going to be a challenge. And they're a fun team to watch.
Finn Diesel's super important. He hasn't been playing at that All-NBL level like he was last season, and then he turned up in a big way in that game in Sydney. I think their most important player is Peyton Siva. We talk about 2 wins from their last 3 games. Even in that loss against Melbourne United, they were really good. It's no surprise. They're the 3 games since Peyton Siva has come back. Yes, it came after the break where they got to work on their defence collectively, but this is a guy that they need performing at an elite import level for the team to be running as they envisaged it to run. And I think it's no surprise that you see guys like Delaney, Yanni Wetzel, these guys having big games now that Peyton Siva's up and about.
I'm keeping my quote sealed because I've got the I told you so. Because everybody was coming to me, we both said I had him as a very, very early MVP favourite. Obviously had to deal with injuries, but we're starting to see what Peyton Siva is all about. This is the reason why we were so high on him. This is the reason why the Breakers were so high on him. And their other import, which we spoke about, I think Peyton Siva will start soon. I think they'll have to bring that back in. That's going to change Will McDowell-White's role a little bit. Jeremiah Martin is 6th man of the year.
That's Mr. Fourth Quarter. He comes alive in the 4th quarter, 22-4-4 in his last game against Sydney, right? I would not change bringing those 2 gentlemen off the bench for nothing. Here's why. When you bring, who you going to bring off the bench if they start? Ousmane Dieng. He's too young and inexperienced, so he's not giving you much on the offensive end. You're not bringing you much on the defensive end. As soon as he comes in the game, you're going at him, and that's what you're supposed to do if you're the opposition. Youth and inexperience, we gotta attack him, and that's what teams are solely doing, right? Yep. So who do they have coming off the bench that could bring you defense, energy, and offense? That backcourt, and as a result of that, being kind of like the second unit, although getting first unit minutes, they've been able to get the jump on everybody. And that's exactly what's going on. And it's less pressure, more freedom. Just go out there and do your thing. I'm not changing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not changing that.
I love Jeremiah Martin off the bench. I think they need to get to a point where Peyton Siva starts. And if that means Will McDowell-White comes off the bench, cool. He's not playing at a super high level right at the moment. Maybe that flip up would help this team overall. And I think Ousmane Dieng is starting right now because of no Tom Abercrombie.
Yeah.
When Tom Abercrombie comes back and he gets his feet under him, I think he comes into that spot. But Jeremiah Martin, oh my God, as a spark plug off the bench. Now, what Pete says he's 6th man of the year.
He ain't 6th man of the year.
Well, here we go.
Xavier at the mains, B.
Now, this is the only award that really, I don't think team success matters ultimately. You talk MVP, team, you can't have someone who finishes last as getting MVP. 6th man of the year is really about what you bring off the bench. Right now, he's missed 2 of the 9 games the Breakers have played. He's averaging 15, 4.5 dimes, and just over 3 rebounds at 43%. Retan Mays, 11 points, 3 assists, just under 3 rebounds a game at 42%. It's very close. I have in the awards watch, I have those two. It's a 2-horse race. I think it will be.
It's a 2-horse race. I agree with that.
The next one, you look at Kyle and Jesse Wagstaff that you put up there. But these two are just a level above of what they bring, how important they are to their team. We saw it in pre-season. When Jeremiah Martin's coming off the bench, he is a different player. The Breakers are a different unit. He is locked into that role, and I think he's embracing it. I agree. I think Peyton Siva will start soon. Will McDowell-White then just has to find out where he's best used. I still think he's best used with the ball in his hands, which is going to be an interesting thing how they juggle that. But they get Tom Abercrombie back. They're feeling good. They're a good news story when everyone loves to see them win with what they're going through, and they're fun. They are so fun to watch when they're playing like that.
Well, they might be a good news story. The Sydney Kings right now are a bad news story.
Oh, my goodness.
0-2 round for the Kings, and the hard luck story amongst that organisation continues. RJ Hunter, season-ending injury. We send our thoughts out to him. The surgery was successful, which is great, the patella, but he's going to be out for the rest of the year. They are in the import market looking for a replacement for that man. And right now, they sit, what do they sit? I think they're 8th on the standings. This is a team that came into the season, curiously enough, as the championship favourites. I never really could quite understand that, but they've had a horrid run of injuries, Pete, and they're having all kinds of trouble executing in the fourth quarter, and it was a total collapse against New Zealand on the weekend.
I'm happy to give them a bit of an excuse in terms of how important having the continuity of a team, a new team, a structure. They haven't had that from pre-season. They had injuries, Jalen Adams, everyone was getting hurt. They've had a couple of games where everybody was healthy with the new system that Chase Buford's running. It's so hard to be able to get that going, which is the importance of pre-season, both games and playing. You got to play together. Practicing with each other is not the same as going out there and competing against another team, figuring out exactly who goes where in the fourth quarter, who takes over. They have not had that, so I'm happy to give them a bit of leeway for that. But other than that, you're right. It's disappointing based on what everyone knows and thinks they're capable of. But that import signing is going to be an interesting one.
Check this out. You have 10 points at home with 5 minutes left, and you lose that game. I'm not giving no excuses for that. It was enough power, manpower on that court. Experienced players, manpower on that court to lock up on defense. You can't I'm up 10. If I'm not scoring, you ain't scoring. Where's that at? Meltdown. Meltdown. Who do you point the fingers at on that? I'm not pointing the finger to the coach.
Nah.
I'm not. Man up. Lock up on D. This is a must-win game. And you tricked it off.
Well, the other side of that is
18-1 run? Yeah. 18-1?
to close.
18-1?
That's what you spoke.
Damn.
You just said.
If I was the coach, guess what we'd be doing after that game? We'd be out there doing defensive slides. Treat them like college, man. We up 10 with 5 left. If I'm not scoring, you ain't scoring. That's what we got to do.
Are they done? Get them out of here?
Get them out of here.
Done.
Done.
It's over.
It's over.
Go and get an import or just let it ride.
What import you going to get? Like for me, right? There's a bunch of imports you can get. But here's my thing. Who are you throwing the ball to down the stretch of that game? It's a free-for-all. Anybody could shoot. They need a person, go-to guy. It's time to get a bucket. All right, this team is scoring. Let's put these kids to bed. Who's that guy?
That needs to be Jalen Adams.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
He didn't have the weekend that we kind of thought he would have, but from here on out, he's healthy, he's back, he's got some games under his belt. He has to be there.
This is what we talk about, the role clarity. When everybody's been playing together, you figure that out in pre-season. I mean, he should already know that. Chase Buford should be telling the team, you're not signing Jalen Adams to run around there and not do anything. But you mentioned the defensive end. With the score, well, the potential they have to score, Jarrell Martin stud, Xavier Cooks, Jalen Adams. You just said the break is...
Who's the first name you just said?
Jarrell Martin, Xavier Cooks.
That's second name.
Jarrell Martin.
Give him the ball in the post. Was he here last season?
Yes.
Isn't that the guy in the post? When things get a little messy, because things do.
Yes.
Get that man the pill, man.
They play 5 out.
Give him the pill.
Well, as I was saying, you mentioned that Breakers have been the worst defensive team in the league. I think everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
How do you score 1 point against that team?
That's my point.
I didn't even like shooting the ball, and I could have probably got 2 points out of that.
Yeah, not good. The injury replacement, they're in the import market, as I say. Now, you think maybe they should go big?
I would love them to get a true centre because we saw it last year. Jordan Hunter, we know that's a big loss,
yes,
massive loss. If you get a true centre that can play at the 5, maybe he can play both, but start at the 5, Jarell Martin at the 4, Xavier Cooks at the 3. You've got guards. You've got Jalen Adams. You've got Vasiljevic. Right. You've got Glover when he's healthy. You've got Sean Bruce.
Right.
You've got Wani.
Right.
I think they need a big centre. A Brandon Ashley type, maybe even a bit bigger, someone that can have that role. Jarell Martin is a mismatch in the 4 around the league. That man is a bucket. He's playing a little bit out of position. He can play both, but it gives Chase Buford a chance to hang on. We did it last year with those two guys. Let's play big. Xavier Cooks on the perimeter. I know he can't shoot the way he would like to be, and he keeps working on that. If they go and get a true big man, a centre, that's going to change a lot, and I think that's exactly what they need. They don't need another guard. They've got guards who can deliver. Sean Bruce can deliver. Wani Swaka-Bullock's playing well. Glover and Vasiljevic, we know what they can do.
I think they're going for a guard. That's what I am hearing. They need scoring, of course. They're last in the league in scoring and in offensive efficiency, and we've talked about some of that. But I've had a name mentioned to me of someone that they've spoken to, a guy named Matt Mooney. Chris Pongras has experience with him back at the Memphis Hustle in the G League, had a couple of 10-day contracts with the New York Knicks this season. You might remember him a couple of years ago, NCAA tournament, took Texas Tech all the way to the championship game, lost to Virginia to Jack Salt. So I don't know whether that's progressed or where that's got to, but that seems like the kind of player that they're looking at.
What was the name?
Matt Mooney.
Any relation to John?
Yeah, that's who they need. That is who they need right there. Get whatever it takes, get John Mooney, paid him out, get him over there, that other surname. But that's going to be an interesting one, I think, for the way I thought, if you get a big, because you've got the core of the Australian guys that can get it done.
Brisbane took care of Southeast Melbourne, whacked them in the opening quarter, 31-6. We spoke about it last week. Brisbane, COVID, lost to New Zealand. Southeast Melbourne, similar situation. Corey, is it as simple as that?
This team frustrates me, man. They really, really do. This game was over at the end of the first. Definitely over at halftime. They played great. Top 5 was in double figures. They played they pick and roll Southeast Melbourne Phoenix to death.
Oh, man.
That may be Joe G's kryptonite.
Yep.
They exposed them and locked up on D. But when this team is good, they're so good. When they're bad, they're just bad, man. But
it's both teams.
No, basically. But I'm talking right now, Brisbane. I want to highlight them. A real good job at home. Took care of business. Great bounce back from the game last week. But Brisbane have beaten Illawarra.
Yes.
Smacked Southeast Melbourne Phoenix and beat Perth in Perth.
And lost to New Zealand.
They are a legitimate top 4 contending team.
What are we doing here? I told you this last week.
I know you told me, but like
overreacted.
Man, I think you're right, man. But Liam,
let's not overreact.
What are we gonna do with this?
Now, let's not overreact to this game now.
But it's just like the top 4 teams, right? 3 of our 4 teams that we said in. They beat them.
Yeah.
You know, like
this game has an asterisk over it. The loss to New Zealand has an asterisk over it. We got to keep these games in context, right?
No, I think, look, they've got the capability. They've got one of, if not the best import trio until we see until we see Perth rolling.
Hold on.
So not import trio.
You love Isaiah Moss?
Sorry, that's another question right there. I'm talking about
When does he get on the court?
Yeah, here I am thinking Sobey. They've got 3 elite superstars to run off. Again, you can't look too much into for the Phoenix what they're coming back with, but they executed a scout. They started the game strong. They did exactly what Corey said, brought Joe Chi out on the perimeter. They didn't have any answer for that, and then they just ran away with it. They're a good team. They're a very good team.
I'm going to run away with it right now because it's time for Santa's watching. I might be in this chair, but I've still been watching what's been going on. And you know what?
What we got going on?
It's the Harry Froling show this week. Because the big fella, talk us through this, Pete, because the bros are in action. Sam's getting all the press. He's strolling down Media Street.
Hey,
Harry
brother.
wants to get involved.
He's just saying, he's just having a listen. He's like, you're going to give me a little plug here? Hey, brother, yep. Making sure he doesn't swear, big brother things. Just don't drop anything you shouldn't say.
That's a very good point.
Yep.
I think that's a good point. In fact, I'm going to give you a little golf cap for that. That's very nicely done.
Now, imagine the behind-the-scenes stuff that carries on there.
Hey, JLA gave away burgers. Big Harry was happy about it.
I'm sure he was.
Look at the big fella.
That's come from his Adelaide days. He was loving that.
And Antonius Cleveland might be a little camera shy. I'll tell you who's not camera shy. Big Harry Froling.
No, at all.
He's like, just pan across. Let me get into the shot. Wouldn't mind getting in on it.
That's some risky business when you're down in a game, knowing that coach goes through and watches all the scout.
Dan Green to get a little love. I mean, I know he's not playing, but and then Corey, here's your man Xavier Ratha May is like, bam!
Oh man,
that's all net.
That's tough.
Yeah. And hey, how's the swagger?
This guy is the coolest guy to NBL.
The swagger.
Look at him.
The way he slaps five there, and he's just loving life. That's Santa's watching. All thanks to Amy.
Man.
Terrific stuff. Now, Pete, I'm not sure if you know about JD Sports, Sneaker of the Week, but week after week they bring the heat. JD Sports, the undisputed king of trainers. And here's the Sneaker of the Week, Dwop Wreath. Pete, ooh. Nike, KDs, black, white. That's big, interesting looking.
Big fan of the KDs. Big fan of the KDs. Just have some art pearls, but they're nice. I mean, you've got to be elite to wear something like that. Like that's the way. And Dwop Wreath is elite, so that's exactly why he wears those.
And here's the tease. This week at JD Sports, the undisputed king of trainers, they're teasing the men's Nike Dunk Low Chicago, part of the Swooshers celebration of the NBA's 75th Diamond anniversary. These are nice. This old school colourway and style coming this February.
Gee, they picked a good time to get on the Chicago wagon.
To JD Sports, make sure you download the app today to make sure you don't miss out. JD Sports, the undisputed king of trainers. Boys, is this time for yes or no?
Oh, I've never done this.
Wow. Shout out to Cam, where you at, man? Shout out to you, Cam. We got you covered. We holding you down.
This is your trademark, Cam. In fact, I got him to chime in on a couple of these questions. We will... Adelaide and Perth coming up right after this. Yep. In fact, by the time this goes to air, it'll be literally right around the corner. But I don't want to miss out on yes or no. Corey, yes or no? Are you surprised that Rob Beveridge is not currently in the NBL?
I'm not surprised.
Pete?
Yes or no?
Is the Darwin Salties one of the top 10 names in Aussie sport?
Yes.
Will Hugo Besson have the best NBA career of all of this year's Next Stars?
Yes.
Are Melbourne United now the favourites to win this year's title?
No.
Corey, would Sam Froling have to make the All-NBL first team to win Most Improved Player back-to-back?
Yep.
That's a high bar.
That's a very high bar.
Adelaide and Perth coming up. Cairns and Tassie has been postponed, unfortunately, so this will be the final game of round 7, and we're looking forward to it. Perth haven't been on the court since New Year's Eve. Adelaide haven't been on the court since December 18, when they played the Cairns Taipans and got wiped off the floor. Who needs this game? Well, Adelaide need this game more. Who do you think this break will have impacted more? Because we've seen teams come out with heavy legs. Perth, it's only been last week that they were ravaged by COVID.
And that's what when you asked me about Melbourne United being favourites, I still think the way Perth have been playing, how they're going to go in this little period is huge. I think they're going to be up there. Melbourne will be up there, but I think Perth, how will they bounce back? So many guys, key guys, we know it takes a little while. Probably for them, perfect game to have when you're coming back off it. But then the Sixers, well, you mentioned it, they've had a long time to dwell on that poor performance up in Cairns. Like, what's changed? Something has to have, surely.
Here's what I want to say, and we have to be clear. This is Bryce Cotton's league. Let's be clear. It's his world. We're just living in it. Melbourne United, you on a 6-game winning streak. Very impressive. Tyler Harvey, you shut him down, put him to bed. Very impressive. But Bryce Cotton, in the past, we can all admit, owns Melbourne United. Until I see that matchup this year, it's still Bryce Cotton's league.
Well, speaking of Bryce Cotton, Sunday Deck is back for this matchup. He's clearly Adelaide's best matchup for Bryce Cotton. How important is Sunday Deck's return to this Adelaide lineup?
Here's what I don't like.
Oh.
I'm going to start with that. I don't like when you're going against a key player and it's on you to help shut him down. In a quote, you're saying, we're mates. You're lost. That's the LeBron effect. You know what LeBron does in the NBA? He sons everybody, and everybody's his little homies. You can't be the guy that you look up to and say that y'all mates. You lost that battle. Bryce Cotton will never say nothing like that against none of the adversaries in this league. Don't say that again. Good luck.
I think it's crucial for their makeup, the team, in terms of like now Mitch McCarron, who was trying to do a bit of everything, is going to have to just flick the switch, say, look, you set the tone on the defense Sunday, so I can go from there, and hopefully we can turn the corner.
That's a wrap. Pete has been spectacular.
Thanks, fellas.
Well done, Pete.
Appreciate it.
We look
well
forward
done, man.
to your return.
Shout out to you, see.
NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL Overtime. Get involved. Let us know. And we're going to be back. Stay tuned. Right after this, Adelaide taking on Perth. Big, big game. And That's it.
Oh, he's having a crack.
Uh-oh.
Off the throw of the dime.
Where am I?
We'll see you later.